Hey Sinners, you're listening to Sinful Cuts, the podcast that takes a look at the wild, weird, and wonderful world of horror. We take a deep dive into some of your favorite movies, possibly uncover some hidden gems. Sometimes we even get some stinkers. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly love having you here. Please sit back, take a listen, and let's get our scare on.
Thrill me.
Hey Sinners, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Sinful Cuts.
Woohoo! And today we are so lucky to have with us none other than Robert Ottone, and he is the incredible author of such novels as Curse of the Cobb Man, The Sleepy Hollow Gang, The Vile Thing That We Created, which is possibly, Robert, my favorite cover of all of your works. That one is my favorite cover. It's so unsettling. Nocturnal Creatures, and Robert, you're the Bram Stoker Award winner for the Triangle, correct?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. Before I ask you, what you've got coming out and all the exciting projects, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what it felt like when you found out that you had won.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool because I didn't think I was gonna win. You could suck. They have the award ceremony on YouTube. So if you watch it and you see me, I don't have anything prepared. I didn't write a speech or anything because I was like, I'm not gonna win. So like when I did win, I just started crying because I was thinking about my dad. Because my dad passed away in 2019, and I was thinking about how happy and proud he would be.
For sure.
And it was already like a very emotional night because Sina Paleo had won, and her dad had just passed away not long before, so she was emotional, and it was like emotions were very high. And like, I was at a table with one of my best friends in the writing community, Todd Kiesling, so I got a big hug from that bear of a man. Langan was at the table with me, and Cisco, and just it was just very sweet. Like a lot of my friends in the writing community were at the table with me and sitting behind me too, because there was like an audience area. So like it was very emotional, and I still think about it and I get like a little emotional because I didn't anticipate it happening, and it was really special to win. I still can't believe I won. It's actually, you can't see it on camera, but it's like literally over there, the award next to my Aquaman.
I do see it.
Hulu. Yeah. It's sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. I should just have it with me at all times and just hold it up, but it's
You
heavy.
just carry it around.
Oh my God. It's so heavy. Like you could kill someone with a Stoker Award. Like this thing's made out of like legitimate solid stone. And it's very cool, and I'm very proud of it still. That book is out of print. So my agent is trying to find a new publisher for it because I was not happy with the previous publisher who put it out. So we're trying to find a new publisher for it, and I would just be very happy to see it. My dream is, because there's two books. That's the Triangle, and that's the sequel, and there's an empty space for the third one, which I've started. But I would like to see a publisher, if any are listening, combine the first two volumes and make it cheap. Make it like $10 for 2 books. That's what I would like to see. But
Love
yeah,
it.
so
Love
that
it.
was like, it was a very emotional night, and it was very special, and it was funny because like all of StokerCon was exciting, and I got to moderate 2 panels, which I'd never done before. And I got to meet a lot of cool people. I got to meet Darcy Coates. I got to make fun of Todd Kiesling with Paul Tremblay. And it was just a really cool time. And it was so much fun. And the coolest thing was like literally, so I win. I have the award. I take it up to my hotel room, and I change out of my suit. I put on literally a tank top and gym shorts because I was sweating, and I was like emotional. And I went back down. Todd Kiesling bought me 1 Cosmo, and then I went to bed. I hung out with some of my Pennsylvania horror writer squad, and Then I went to bed, and I had to take a train the next morning back to New York. So it was like, it was a whole thing, but it was really cool. It was a really exciting experience. So I just hope everybody who's nominated this year has just the absolute best time and enjoys every single second of StokerCon. I wish I could make it. I would love to have been able to go, but the wife and I are trying to buy a new house, and it just doesn't jive with my new teaching gig. So it's tough to find the time. But I really hope everybody just enjoys the process and the moment, and I hope whoever wins this year, that your life changes for the better in the way that mine did as well.
Oh, that's
Very
good. That's
nice.
great. I love hearing that, and I love the fact that you were surrounded by so many of your close friends and contemporaries. That's great. What a great moment for you. I really do love it for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really wild. Um, and getting a hug from Langan was like kind of the pinnacle, because that guy's my hero. So
Oh, he's the best. We had him on. Holy cow! What were we talking about? We were talking about the Lost Boys and Fright Night
yeah,
with
And
John, right?
yes.
that was a great episode.
Oh, thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
your
Yeah.
shortcuts episodes. I really like the shortcuts episodes that you guys do, like with the update type stuff.
Thank you. We're
Thank
actually,
you.
you're just this week alone, you're about the sixth person to say that. And of course, being a uncontrollable narcissist, I'm like, oh, is this because they don't want to hear us talk all that long? But they they they
No, I
like
think
the
those are
new
great.
people seem to like the news updates.
Yeah, because we don't really, I don't know, I don't really get that anywhere else. So
Yeah, I
Right.
just kind of comb the sites and find out interesting stuff.
yeah, like I would never have heard about that prehistoric horror movie thing that you were talking about. I never would have heard about that if it wasn't for you talking about it.
Oh, thank you.
Aw.
Thank you. Well,
We're doing something right.
exactly. It's working. I wanted to give people just, just a little bit of a backstory on how you came on my radar. So the two times I've seen you in person have been with Clay McLeod Chapman, who, by the way, we just had on. You That episode is going to drop on Thursday. We talked about the wacko '70s movie Bad Ronald, the made-for-TV movie. It's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, I I think the three of us are like the Bad Ronald fan club, but there's
I
always
think
room for
so.
one more. You know?
Oh, Clay, who wears a ski cap for the Greasy Strangler, is not that's a surprise that he's a fan of schlocky '70s garbage. No way. Can't imagine.
Yeah. we, we did have
So
so much
weird.
fun. So I had known of Clay, and this is going back a year ago. It was actually a year ago, in the spring in 2023, and I went to the Barnes and Noble. I think it was in Bay Shore, and there's Clay, and sitting next to Clay there's you. And I'm like, "Who, Robert Ottone? Who is this? Who is this man sitting next to Clay?" And you were promoting. At that point, you were promoting the Vile Thing We Created,
Hmm.
and you read an excerpt from the novel. And first off, two things. This is. I apologize if it sounds like a lot of smoke being blown, but it's true. The novel is incredibly chilling, but you're reading. I mean, you had the audience in the palm of your hand. Everybody, because we're like, horror people. We're kind of, you know, ADD and all over the place, and it's very exciting. But when you started reading, it was like a hush went through the crowd, and it was very effective,
Oh,
very very effective.
thank you.
So fast forward now. I'm going to fast forward because it's opposite ends of the spectrum. We're at the Necromantic Brewery a couple of weeks ago. So I had met you at the Barnes and Noble, then I met you again, but we actually had a chance to talk. But you and Clay again were together, and it was such a great night. But you both did a short reading, a short, fun reading, and your reading here again, it was completely different as far as like the tone of what you were of the work that you were presenting to the audience. It was different, but once again you completely captivated the audience,
Wow.
and I really really enjoyed it. You are a natural showman, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that to you. We have to get you in front of a camera. You must have your own show.
I appreciate that.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate that's very kind of you to say. A lot of that comes from my dad. My dad was a radio personality back in the day, and then he taught radio for Brentwood High School for 28 years. So
Oh, get out.
my dad actually broke the Amityville Horror the night that Ronnie DeFeo iced his family. Ronnie DeFeo killed
What?
his family.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was
What?
on the air.
I'm looking over at Shannon. We're in the same studio. I'm like, what?
So yeah, like my
That's
dad was in
crazy.
radio, and like I had a radio show when I was a kid, and all through high school and stuff. And so yeah, like I like when the lights are on. Some authors have a hard time like reading in front of people and stuff, but like I really like when the lights are on. And
You excel at it.
thank you, thank you. And I would love, I would love to do something more. I have an idea for like an interview kind of show that would be on camera, but it's hard to like find the time to do all that, and it's hard to get all the people together all the time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's really sweet, and yeah, I have a good time doing readings and doing book events and stuff like that. I like joking around with the crowd. It's funny because like, excuse me, that night I was in the worst mood imaginable that night.
No, you would not have known it.
Good. I was very stressed out. I was really stressed out with stuff from work because like there's some major inequity type stuff going on with some of the kids at my school, and when I see the kids not getting the things that they need, it really sends me over the edge. And that's kind of what had happened that night. We had a staff meeting, but and I kind of yelled at somebody. But like when I saw Clay, it started like going away, and when I saw my friend John, it started going away. So I was like, okay, like we're gonna reset.
Yeah. They
By the way,
rebalanced
shout out to
you.
John. I love that guy, John.
Oh.
Shout out to John.
He's the best. I love him. He's not only one of my closest friends, he's also one of the best writers that I know. He's a remarkable short fiction writer. He's a chameleon in a big way, like alarmingly so. Like he'll give you some really nasty, bloody, gory stuff. Then all of a sudden he'll give you some Bradbury-esque spookiness, like Halloweeny type spookiness. He's just really he's a literary chameleon, I call him. But yeah, he's like my unofficial bodyguard too. My mom is always like, when you go to these events and John's there, I know you're gonna be okay. And I'm like, all right, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, John looks like he could take care of business. Well, before we get into Halloween 3 though, I definitely want to tell all of the sinners out there, if you're not following Robert on TikTok, you are missing out on a really, really great time. Your Friday posts when you're in your car.
Yeah. When I'm at work. Yeah.
They're so highly entertaining.
Thank you.
First off, you have the best like straight face of all time. And the videos are incredibly funny, and I always look forward to them. So keep them
cool.
up. But like, this is my point. You're an award-winning author. You're incredibly good at what you do in your writing. You're an incredible showman. I don't know. I just see a show out there somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm
sure.
interested. I think it would be fun, and I appreciate it. I'm trying to do silly stuff on Instagram too, because I like Instagram the most out of all of them. Twitter I'm like never on ever. Facebook is just, I avoid Facebook as much as humanly possible, unless it's to like, hey, I have this out, or like, here's a fun interview I did.
Mhm.
But yeah, like TikTok is so hard, I find too. So like, I'm trying to like figure out TikTok and my, whatever. But Instagram is the one that I'm like super into because it's just so silly. And yeah, I had an idea to do something yesterday, but my wife is in not the best of moods. So I was like, all right, well, it's raining and gross. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do anything silly today, I guess. But but yeah, like I don't know. I'm like a pretty weirdly silly person for somebody who writes horror, I guess. Clay is pretty similar. He's very silly too.
Yeah.
He's very
Yeah,
ridiculous.
very much so.
Yeah. But yeah,
We've
I
been
just like
we've been
taking it easy.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to meet. At this point, we've met easily a half dozen renowned horror authors, and each and every single one of them has been a silly person at their core.
Y yeah, you
I
gotta have a balance in your head, I think, you
well,
know?
Yeah.
I always equated to people. Are people always asking you sometimes in in a very friendly way and sometimes accusingly, what is it with horror movies? Why are you always watching horror movies? What's wrong? Not what's wrong with you, but like why?
Mhm.
And you're such a happy person. I don't get it. And I say, well, I enter a dark space, the theater, and I watch these things that trigger all of these kind of reactions and emotions in me, and I get to leave it in that room.
Yeah.
And I come out typically into the daylight, or even, I just come out of that space, and it's cathartic.
Yeah. It's that shared
I don't know.
experience too. I shy away from going to the theater these days because it's always ruined for me by other people. Hell is other people, and I just so like I if there's something that I really really care about, like something I really need to see and focus on, I'll rent the theater for it. I did that with the Batman. I didn't want anybody around me
Wow.
for that, so I
Oh,
rented
that
it
is a
out.
strong play.
Yeah, it was fun too. Originally, it was just going to be me, and then I was like, "All right, my wife can come," and then I was like, "All right, my father-in-law can come, and my uncle-in-law and my mom, I guess I'll allow." And but yeah, it was cool, and I'll probably do it for the Batman too. I want to do it for Superman Legacy and Fantastic Four because they're supposed to open against each other, so I want to do a double feature. I was going to do it for the
Sweet.
what was the Knock at the Cabin at the End of the World, which is my favorite Tremblay book. I was gonna do it for
Yeah,
that, and then his name wasn't on the poster, and I was like, "The hell with that movie." Yeah, I was not happy about that, and the movie was
I got you
not
back
great.
on that one.
Yeah, so I you know who asks me that stuff a lot more than anybody? The whole like, well, why do you like horror things? My true crime people. I do a lot of true crime lectures about different cases and stuff. I used to cover the Long Island serial killer like pretty extensively. And that's how I got started in this. But like they always ask, like, oh, why do you write that gory horror stuff? And I'm like, why do you like hearing about guys who kill women all the time?
Yeah,
Like, wait, what?
yeah, exactly.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Exactly.
They live for
Uh,
like if we're talking about like Manson or whatever, and it's like he didn't even really do anything. He's just a schmuck. Like he just told people to go do things. He's a cult leader. He's not even a murderer. But like they're all hot to trot to talk about like, oh, are you going to do Dahmer? And I'm like, no, I hate Dahmer. He got everything he deserved. Like, no, I'll never.
Yeah,
This is a guy who preyed on an already preyed upon community. No, the hell with him. But yeah, like it's just weird. All the true crime people are like into the nitty gritty, gory, so much more than the horror fans. The horror fans are like, we like being scared. Ha ha ha! Here's a good time. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre. But all the true crime people, man, like they are nuts. You should come. You should come to one of my
I
lectures
love it.
sometime. You'll see a show.
I
Oh,
would
count
love
on it.
to.
Count on it.
I got one
Yeah,
coming
I
up
would
on tomorrow. Tomorrow night.
Oh, I'll
All
I'll
right, well,
clear my
hold
calendar.
that thought. Hold that thought, though, because at the end, I want you to promote the hell out of everything that you have coming up and everything
Cool.
you're working on, and you can even make some stuff up. Just it's all you.
Sounds good.
All right, so look, guys, we're 18 minutes in. I feel like we got to get to Halloween 3 at this point,
I guess so.
but this is the magic of Robert. I could talk to you about anything. It doesn't have to be Halloween 3.
My podcast guesting things usually go off the rails pretty quick. So
We love
apologize.
those episodes, though.
We love it.
We do love those episodes. So Halloween 3. Now, Robert, I know, because we've talked about this previously. Your favorite movie is Jaws, though, correct?
My personal all-time favorite movie is Forbidden Planet. Jaws is my
Ooh, oh, that's
dad's
right.
all-time favorite movie, and Jaws is definitely top 3 for me.
Okay.
I adore Jaws. My dad and I would watch Jaws all the time. I saw The Shark Isn't Working on Broadway.
Nice.
I live and breathe Jaws. I have salt water in the veins.
My parents loved that play.
It was so good. It was so funny. I was
It's
dying.
hard not to. I mean, we live on Long Island, we live by the beach. It's hard not to gravitate toward that movie just
Mhm.
because of where we live. But it's just such a great movie, and that is my favorite movie of all time. Halloween 3, though, is it's a special movie for me. It's definitely in my top 5. I have my bodyguard, my very close friend Roy, who you met actually. Roy was the gentleman at the Necromantic Brewery who bought the books for his daughter, and you
Oh,
were
what a
kind
sweetheart!
enough.
What a sweetheart
Yep,
that guy
he
was.
is an he's just the sweetest man. We have to give, you know what, Roy? Everybody, we love you. He shattered his ankle, so yeah,
Aw.
he's kind of on couch rest for quite some time.
Aw.
I sent him a list of movies to watch about as long as your arm. So yeah, Roy, get well soon.
Aw.
But we
I know a
have
good podcast is that you can listen to, Roy.
yeah, Roy. We, we have an odd thing where every year we have to find Halloween 3 playing on the big screen. We're lucky enough because we live in the tri-state area that's
Mhm.
it's usually playing somewhere. And we go and see it. And this past year, we saw it at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, the Bam Rose Cinema,
Okay.
and it was fantastic. I mean, it was us and like 3 other people on a Friday night, but it was such a great experience. We've seen it at the Cinema Arts Center in Huntington locally,
Mhm.
and it just has become this like unspoken thing that October rolls around and we have to see this movie. And we also torment each other because this started years ago when, like a week before Halloween, one would have to call the other one first and do that and sing the whole fucking song.
Yeah.
And whoever did it for that year won. Like, oh, you got me. Oh, I forgot. You got me. So Roy has won consistently because he's got nothing better to do. Fucking guy. So he has won consistently for like 5 straight years. So I actually put an alert on my phone for 2023 at September 30th, 11:59 p.m. And I got his ass. October 1st, the first minute of October. And I'm like, that's it. The game's over because you can never win again. I win Halloween 3 forever.
That's awesome.
And then he picked me up and he squished me into a tiny little ball and he rolled me down the street.
Swish.
But this is one of those movies that just has become it's transcended the actual movie for me. It's like an experience that I share with one of my best friends, and I love it for that. But let's go the and we're going to go all the way back to 1982, and we're coming off of a Halloween 2, which made money, but John Carpenter was not pleased that he had wanted to make Halloween 2 the anthology. He didn't want to continue with Michael Myers. That's why he kills Loomis and he kills Michael at the end of 2. And 3 is essentially what he wanted for 2, where it's an anthology. It's going to take place on Halloween. It can be, this one is witchcraft and the occult and paganism. And his plan for it was, we can have multiple directors working on multiple Halloween movies all at the same time, and we can release them every single Halloween indefinitely.
Mhm.
And I don't know why a studio didn't think that this was a phenomenally good idea.
I think.
I don't think the world was ready,
Yeah, I think that's
personally.
fair. I don't think the world
Yeah.
was ready. And also,
Yeah.
like, when have studios ever made franchises or movies better?
Bingo.
You know?
You're right.
Not ever.
You're right. And
At
I
least
mean,
they're
all they see in
consistent.
Michael Myers is the cash cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll admit, I was one of those people in the audiences that was like, where the fuck is Michael Myers? I totally, I fell into that trope for a couple of years.
I
So,
remember,
sorry.
like, one thing always bothers me with this movie, and it's when people are like, well, they should have just called it Season of the Witch. And it's like, well, no, here's how anthologies work. Because you need the title Halloween. Like maybe they shouldn't have called it Halloween 3, but it
Yeah.
would still need to be called Halloween Season of the Witch. Not to mention George Romero's Season of the Witch had come out not super long before this. So to just
Yep.
You're
have
right.
two movies
Yeah.
called Season of the Witch back to back, and Carpenter and Romero were friendly enough, certainly, because they did Creepshow together later on. And I guess Stephen King too, right? Like they all would have known each other at that point. John Carpenter's too classy. You got to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna steal your title and make it this. Like he wouldn't have done that. So
No.
Yeah, it's true.
I think like we really missed out on a huge opportunity, because imagine if we still had, you know, Halloween as an anthology series. How many years later? What is it? 40? No, 38, 40 years later. Um, we really, really, really dropped the ball, because that could have been all the different things that could have come out of this. And even if they had done something where it's like, okay, well, every odd entry will be a standalone thing, and every even entry will be a Michael Myers thing. Best of both
Yeah.
worlds, because we still would have
Yeah,
gotten
for
Halloween
sure.
4.
Fair.
Halloween 4 is awesome. I don't think we talk enough about Alan B. McElroy, one of the, an African American horror writer who gave us like Halloween 4 is dope. Like it's
Yeah.
a great
It's one
movie.
of my favorites.
Yeah, that used to be. Here's a little controversy. Halloween 4 used to be my favorite sequel after the original, until Halloween Ends came out. Halloween Ends is my favorite by a country mile after the original movie. But Halloween 4 for the longest time was like, yeah, this is the one. Like this one is just so good. And it just ends perfectly. And Alan B. McElroy knocked it out of the park with his writing. But yeah, we really missed out. We really did. And it's people's fault for you don't want to say it's like the viewer's fault, right? Because like at least the studio tried to do the anthology
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I think it goes
I
back to the
suppose.
marketing, right?
Yeah.
It, like they definitely put the title in place. I think they didn't do the audience due diligence of letting them know that it's going to be a start of an anthology.
Yeah.
And I think everybody totally went thinking that Michael Myers was going to be a part of it when he really wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think they just felt they just felt duped,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's
Mm,
absolutely what happened, because it's like it's hard not to go into a Halloween 3 after you've had 2 with the same dude in a white mask. Like, oh, now there's
yeah.
masks in this one too. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, all right. But yeah, it's
It's not
still
the right
great.
mask, dude. It's not the right mask.
I watched, by the way, the fact that this movie's not streaming on anything is absurd to me.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Like I own
Thank you.
I own a copy on VHS, I own a copy on DVD, I own a copy on Blu-ray. None of them are here. They're all in storage. So I was like really
Ah,
frustrated that I couldn't watch it again. So I watched a Joe Blow video, um, like recapping the movie and stuff. And they had, and this was really stupid. I got kind of annoyed. All these YouTube videos annoy me. All these, like, they're just so stupid. And there was one that was like, well, Michael Myers' mask is in the commercial for the Silver Shamrock Company. If you wait to the end when they go to turn it off, you see little Michael Myers mask. And I'm like, that's not, no, no,
That's not the
stop it.
same
yeah.
thing.
It's just so frustrating. It's like they're grasping at straws. But
It's like, okay, so you get an homage, but what?
yeah. I also
Yeah,
and I'm
no.
sure we'll get to it, but there's also something that this movie does that Scream would later do, like a bazillion years later, um, or 14 years later. But we'll get to
All right. No, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So we'll do what I like to call the hard yards. So we'll just talk about the actual the nuts and bolts of who did what and where and why and when. So we've got Tommy Lee Wallace directs the movie based on a screenplay by Tommy Lee Wallace. Deborah Hill and John Carpenter produce. Cinematography by my director of photography all time crush, Dean Cundy. I am the sole member of the Dean Cundy fan club. And then we had Tom Berman doing the FX. So like I said initially, they want to capitalize on the heat coming off of Halloween 2 as far as the money being made. Halloween 2 got panned. I mean, we did our episode on Halloween 2 and we both love it. But it certainly didn't get great reviews. Carpenter comes in with Deborah Hill. Okay, you know what? We'll produce. We'll get Universal to distribute it. We'll partner up. Dino DeLaurentis is going to be the production outlet through Universal.
I love
And
Dino. I
you know,
love Dino
whenever Dino
DeLaurentis.
gets involved,
Ooh, I love
there's
it.
all
We're
right,
gonna
wait,
have a real King Kong sized robot. It's gonna be incredible. You've never seen anything as good as this. And then
wait,
it's literally
wait,
Tom what's his fuck in a costume and
in a
just
costume.
up robot. I love Dino. He's so ridiculous. We need people like that again. We need
Yes.
producer personalities that are nuts. Like I'm picturing Dino with like a glass of wine that cost $8,000 for that glass and a cigar, just being like,
In a goblet.
yeah, Mustafa, a cards. Oh, I love you, baby. Come on, we're gonna put out this movie. No Michael Myers. Who gives a shit? We're gonna make a ton of dough. We're working on King Kong. I'll see you later. That's my
My
official Dino De
all-time
Laurentiis impression.
Well,
I love it.
I'm going to do mine because I was listening to a podcast not that long ago. So you got Rick Baker on it, and Rick Baker was in the gorilla suit in
Yeah.
King Kong, and they brought Dino De Laurentiis. He produced Orca,
Mhm.
so one of the better Jaws ripoffs. But
Yeah, that and
they
Grizzly.
had there you go. So they had Rick come in because they're going to do Orca made money, so they're
Mhm.
going to do an Orca too. And they have Rick come in to do talk about some possible special effects, and Rick Baker recounts a story where he goes, I'm sitting in front of Dino in his office, and he turns to me and he's like, Ricky, this a fish. He gonna come on a land. He gonna fuck everybody up. and Rick Baker is like, does he? He just said it's a fish. Does he not know how fish work?
Yeah.
He goes, suffice to say, Orca 2 did not move forward. He literally wanted the whale to go up on shore and start fucking flippering people left and right.
Well, that literally happens in the Meg 2, and it's awesome. So Dino was right. So
He stands corrected.
yeah, I want a shirt that says
I
Dino De
apologize,
Laurentiis
Dino.
was right.
Nice.
Because he's not canceled or anything,
Every
right? Me
single-
saying that it's not going to get me canceled, right? Like for saying Did he like do anything bad other than spend money on stupid shit?
I cannot
we might
even
get
believe I'm
canceled
gonna
just
say
by
this.
liking Halloween 3.
I don't believe I'm going to say
Good
this.
call.
I think Dino, we're in safe territory, which
All right.
defies logic, but I think we're in safe territory.
That should be a book title about him, Safe Territory, the Dino De Laurentiis story.
The Dino De Laurentiis story, exactly. So De Laurentiis distributes it. Joe Dante is originally going to direct this movie, which I would have loved to have seen, to be honest.
That was when
I love the Tommy Lee Wallace kisses all over his face. Love what he did, but a Joe Dante version would have been a Joe Dante version, and it would have been worth seeing.
that's when
So he reaches out.
they were still
Oh, sorry.
going. They were still going with the Nigel Neal script at that time, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Robert, do you want to talk about that? Because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to lead into. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah,
'Cause it's
so a
interesting.
lot of the Celtic history stuff comes from Nigel Neal, who, by the way, seems like the biggest asshole that ever lived, because all he did was talk shit about everybody except for Tommy Lee Wallace for whatever reason.
Bingo.
So yeah, and he did the Quatermass stuff, which is actually really cool. If you guys have not seen Quatermass, you guys have seen it, right? I'm sure yeah, it's
Wait a
awesome.
minute, in the
have
pit.
it.
Yeah.
It's really awesome, and I don't know if it's on anything now, but I remember watching the Quatermass stuff and really loving it. But he did that. He was a very like kind of proper British writer. John Carpenter loved him, but then like he did not reciprocate any of that love at all. And it's like, all right, well, he basically gave like the skeleton of Halloween 3, and then Tommy Lee Wallace was like, I got to make this filmable and not ridiculous. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. And then you had Dennis Etchison doing the novelization, which plussed it
Which
up
blew
even
my
more.
mind. I had no idea.
Yeah, under a
gotta get that.
pseudonym, I
I
think.
gotta get that fucking book.
Yeah, I think you might be able to get it on eBay, but it might cost you a little bit of dough.
I'm so scared to see what it's gonna cost you.
A lot, a lot. But Nigel Neal does come across as a huge dick, which is a bummer because he's so talented and cool that he wrote such cool stuff. But he's also dead, so that's life. But Tommy Lee Wallace, I met him a million years ago. I got him to sign my copy of actually, you can't even see it, but above Glenn from It's Always Sunny screaming, This is a Halloween print up there that came with like the Blu-ray
I could
special edition.
just see the bottom
Yeah.
of it.
He signed that for me because I was like, I want as many of the living Michael Myerses to sign this. So he signed it.
Oh,
Nick
that's
Castle
so
signed it,
cool.
and then I had him
Nice.
sign a copy of It, the DVD of It, my wife's copy, and he wrote "Kiss Me, Fat Boy" on it. And I was like, oh, he made a fat joke. All right, cool, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
But he was very cool, and I was like, dude, Tommy Lee Wallace rules. But yeah, he took Nigel Neal's script and changed it a lot with John Carpenter. I think the two of them both worked on it. So all the cool Celtic stuff comes from that, and all the Samhain stuff comes from Nigel Neal. But to be fair, like John Carpenter was playing with the Samhain stuff in Halloween 2. Everybody was saying Sam
Very
Hain, which
much so,
is,
yeah.
whatever. But it was still kind of there. Like the stuff was all there. And actually in the novelization of Halloween, the original Halloween, opens with like the festival of Samhain and ancient druidic Celtic nonsense, and it's like, oh, what the fuck is happening here? But
Yeah.
it's still cool, so it's always permeated the whole thing. But yeah, that comes from Nigel Neal.
Did he ask to have his name removed from the script?
He sued for it, yeah. Yeah, he was a dick. Robert, you got it in one. Yeah, he's a dick.
It sucks. It sucks when these guys turn out to be dicks. They don't all always turn out to be dicks, but Nigel Neal certainly seems like one.
Yeah. So Dante then he goes on to direct the segment in the Twilight Zone the movie.
Oh yeah.
So he drops out. They get Tommy Lee Wallace, who was actually supposed to direct Halloween 2.
He was offered Halloween
If,
2 and he turned it down.
Yeah.
Turned it
He
down.
was done with Michael Myers after the first one.
Yeah.
And he said too,
So-
he's like, we did everything with the first one. Like, why would I want to do the second one? And I think that's a smart choice because like Rick Rosenthal brought in all of his like homeboys from his theater company and filled that entire movie with his like theatrical buddies. And it was like, you know what? Halloween 2 is awesome, and the acting in Halloween 2 is dope. So good for
Yeah.
Rick Rosenthal. I'm sorry he came back for Halloween Resurrection, but he was nominated
He
for an
tried.
Oscar for producing that fucking Mr. Rogers documentary a few years back. So
That's so crazy. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Isn't it weird how Hollywood works?
Very much so.
It's so bizarre. It's so, like never count anybody out.
Yeah.
Never talk about Dino DeLaurentis without doing your research first, because we
Right.
all may be canceled.
I'd be curious to hear like Joe Dante now, knowing what happened with the Twilight Zone, the movie, and the stigma that movie has. If
Yeah.
he would feel differently about, oh, maybe I should have done Halloween 3 instead of doing Twilight Zone, the movie. But I mean, you obviously don't know that a industry defining accident is going to happen on the set of your silly little Twilight Zone love letter movie.
Yeah, it's a whole coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Well, also, guys, let's
Thing,
be
you know?
honest. We've got, there's Joe Dante dealing with Dino DeLaurentis, and all of a sudden Steven Spielberg's like, hey, buddy, guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Something that you're madly in love with since your childhood. Come on aboard. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems on paper that it would be an easy choice, but to your point, Robert, yeah, then what happens? It's like, oh, if you could, have that moment in time, should you have gone with the other? Nigel
I
Neal,
always skip the Joe Dante segment in that movie because I think it's the shittiest one.
it's the worst.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
It's awful.
I
you know
honestly
what gets
feel
me?
like-
I'm such a sucker. Kick the Can gets me every single time. I'm such
I
a
love Kick the
sucker.
Can.
It's so good. I'm such a sucker for
It's
that
so
like
great.
Spielbergy, syrupy melancholy. I'm always like I'm such a sucker for that shit.
I wish I could remember where, but a couple years ago, I actually passed a house that looked like the house where they played Kick the Can in front of.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god! But then I drove on, and and now I don't remember where the hell I was, but it was, it was a cool moment.
That's awesome.
Unlike you two saps, I can turn the movie off after Dan Aykroyd breaks Albert Brooks's neck in the car.
God, I love Albert Brooks. Sorry.
I do love the movie though. No, I mean, what is that? Terror at 30,000 feet with Lithgow?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the movie right there. I
Yeah.
love that segment
Yeah.
so much.
I always forget that that's George Miller too. Like in my mind, I'm always like, oh, that's the Joe Dante part, and it's like, no, that's That's Mad Max George Miller doing that, and
Mad
it's
Max, yeah.
really good. Why hasn't
How
he done more
crazy
horror?
is that? Yeah,
I don't know.
and it
I
feels
don't-
very Dante. You know. So the one I'll give Nigel Neal. Actually, this isn't even. I don't know why I was going to credit him this. He happened to be in Hollywood at that time. When I was researching this, he was doing a Creature from the Black Lagoon script treatment for John Landis,
Yeah.
which could have been great or suck. We'll never know. It never happened. We'll never, like, the Creature from the Black Lagoon has passed from hand to hand to hand to hand indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I just eventually we'll get it. But you know, a couple of months ago, I posted on our show notes on one of the shortcut episodes the concept art for Carpenter's Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it fucking ripped.
Yeah.
It looked incredible.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, unfortunately, John Carpenter and studios, it's like, it is definitely not a you got your chocolate and my peanut butter situation.
Oil and water.
It is so oil and water. Yeah.
Just have him do the
this poor
music.
guy.
Just have him do the music. Cut him a
Exactly.
check. Call it
Yeah.
a day. Like just like
Yeah.
the Halloween trilogy, the new one. Just give him the dough and let him do some tunes and
Just-
that's it. And he's happy.
The,
But
the stories of, like, stuff he got to the 1 yard line,
yeah,
and then it up in smoke, you know?
Creature from the Black
it's
Lagoon is my
heartbreaking.
favorite Universal monster. So that's like one of the rare times where I'd be like, yeah, give me a remake, shoot it right into my veins. Come on. James Wan would
Yes.
knock that out of the park. James Wan would knock Creature from the
Thank you.
Black
I
Lagoon
think
out
so
of the
too.
park. It,
Oh, yeah.
just his Swamp Thing
Gotta put
show.
the juju out there.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
hear that, James Wan?
yeah, please.
Yeah.
More Conjuring, more Insidious, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're definitely getting another Conjuring for sure.
We're getting the show.
I love. How about? I mean, Jesus Christ, we really do need to talk about Halloween 3. But hold on.
Sorry.
How about?
I was just gonna
How
say, I
about-
actually have
no,
a
no.
question about Halloween 3.
Robert, this is what we live for. How about? All right, you two may gang up on me and be like, "That sucked. Get off the podcast." How about *Malignant*?
I hate that movie.
Oh, I love it. All right, all right. I'm going to get off my own podcast.
My wife called it in the first 30 seconds, and I was really annoyed that she was able to plot it really
I hate
quick. I was
that
like,
too.
God damn it. All right.
If I could predict it, sometimes I could predict things from predict endings from the trailer, and then I really hate the movie.
Yeah.
It-
I hate
When I'm right. I hate when I'm right.
I hated when
Ironically.
everyone was like, oh, it's him doing a Giallo. It's him doing, and it's like, no, it's not. It's him making a shitty movie that got just put on
It's
HBO
nothing
Max,
to do with
and
Java.
he's lucky.
Meanwhile, I'm
Lucky.
like, "Oh my God, has Robert listened to the episode where I said, 'Oh my God, it's a giallo'?"
Oh my God, did you say that? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. No, I swear I didn't. I swear. I swear I didn't. But I definitely support that film. I love that film. Yeah, it's a vibe for me. I clicked with it. It was just so silly and over the top. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm here for it.
But I do have a question about the movie that we're talking about, allegedly.
What are we doing
Halloween
again?
3. Season of the Witch, if you guys, in case you guys forgot. Because this is a hard one for me to answer.
Okay.
What is your favorite kill? There's so many good ones.
Oh, I have the.
You go first,
Okay.
Sean.
For me, it's Buddy Jr.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mrs. Gutman
Yeah.
getting her face blown open. That's my
Yeah,
favorite
the
one.
laser beam.
God, did you know that Tom Atkins was married to Mrs. Gutman at the time? I didn't. I just learned that 26 minutes ago. I did not know that.
So he went from being married to Annie, who's probably my favorite horror movie crush of all time. That's the girl, like, if I was in high school, I would have been like, Annie, do you want to go trick-or-treating? Like, I love you. And she would have been like, ugh, loser. And then she gets killed. But she would have been I like such a crush on Annie from Halloween. My wife knows it too. And I'm like, hey, you love Samwise Gamgee. I like Annie from Halloween too. At least one of them, or from Halloween, at least one
There
of
you
them
go.
lives.
Everybody gets somebody.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But he was married to her, and then he marries Mrs. Gutman by Halloween. And it's really not that much time in between those movies. So, like, he gets around. That's cool. Live your truth,
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Wallace.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your favorite kill?
Yeah.
So I do like all of that, all those scenes, but for some reason I like the one, I forgot who it was, but when the two androids, they just take the guy's head and they just rip it off.
Yeah.
That was just such a great scene.
The
I don't
drunk.
know.
The old drunk guy in Santa Mira. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great. Yeah, that's terrifying. Isn't that that's Dick Warlock, I think, is the android in that scene, I think, who was Michael Myers in Halloween 2.
He is. I have a
Yes.
weird, along with my one-man Dean Cundy fan club, I have a one-man Dick Warlock fan club because he also subbed in for, or I believe they call it stunt work, not sub in for, um, Dreyfus in the cage work in Jaws,
Yep.
which I'm like,
Have you ever met Dick Warlock?
damn.
He's like 4 feet tall. Like he was literally up to my
Another
shoulder.
reason why I love him.
Yeah, he's a teeny tiny sweetheart, but I was terrified of him when I met him. I was like, that's Michael Myers. Like that's everybody always says like he's the best Michael Myers, and you know what? It's kind of hard to disagree. Not that the guys in the first movie are bad, or the entire crew, because they had women play Michael Myers also, but like Dean Cundy is the shit. Like everything about his gait, how he moves, is so good. Walking through a plate glass window, it's like fuck. Yeah,
I just, yeah,
he's awesome.
I just,
He's so awesome, and he's still cool.
But-
And the all-time greatest
Just the
name,
fact that, like-
Dick Warlock.
right?
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Look, the fact that he is an average height man like myself, not short, no one said short, average height man like myself, I gravitate towards his skill and professionalism within the industry.
It has a nice charm to him.
They was like, we need someone to sub in for Gary Coleman. Warlock, get over here.
You're in. It's cool though too, because like when you think about it, because Michael Myers is not supposed to be a giant hulking monster of a guy like in the
No.
zombie movies. He's literally supposed to be just perfectly passable, normal dude. Like that's why the guy in the new trilogy was so perfect, because it's like, yeah, he's I guess he's kind of big, but like if you just saw him walking around, like there were people bigger than him. Tommy, what's his fuck? Tommy Wall, not Tommy Wallace. Tommy in the second one with the baseball bat. Well, Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle was bigger than Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Michael
Yeah,
Hall was physically
sure.
bigger than him. But you know, he still got killed. That movie sucks. Halloween Kills sucks. Sorry. Let's keep going.
It does.
Oh, that's okay.
I hate it. I hated that movie.
Fucking awful.
Shannon, I'm
Got a
past.
lot of mad emoji faces.
I just have to go off
faces for
camera for
saying
1
that,
second to
but
plug in, guys. I'm still here. Nobody panic. I am still here.
Oh my god. R.I.P. Sean.
where are you going?
R.I.P. in peace.
One by one, they were murdered on the Halloween 3 episode. Okay. Now I come back
I'm gonna look at my
and I'm
notes.
uncomfortably closer. This is very Hitchcockian. Then I'm going to go off camera. Wait, hold on.
Cool.
Hold on.
Can I throw out a little trivia about Halloween 3?
How about now, Robert?
Oh my god. So
Oh Lord.
did you guys
Yeah, of
clock-
course.
Did you guys clock who played Dr. Chalice's son?
No.
You talked about him on the Langan podcast. He was the little boy from Near Dark, the little boy vampire from Near Dark.
Son of a bitch. Joshua Miller. Son
yeah.
of a bitch.
That's Jason Miller's son, the guy from The Exorcist, Father Karras's son.
Wow.
Love Jason Miller. I do know who played Dan Chalice's ex-wife, Nancy, from the first Halloween,
Yeah.
who is also in The Fog. And honestly, Robert, she's my crush as well. Love her. Love. I really love her in The Fog. Not in it a lot, but her scenes with Janet Leigh. Oh, I really love that movie.
And she's great in Assault on
We're gonna have to do The Fog
13.
eventually.
Also, she's really great. She's great in everything. She's a fabulous artist now.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh, you love to hear that. I love hearing that.
yeah, she's great.
Okay. We need to talk about Tom Atkins
Yeah.
for a sec here. Because we have Dr. Dan Chalice like to do two things. Actually, three things. He likes to drink. He definitely likes to have sex. And he likes a little bit of sleuthing as long as there's some possibility for sex.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Because the fact that Dan gets involved in any of this is bizarre. A little. But Tom Atkins sells it perfectly especially in the scene in the bar when the whole staff, she's like, "Where's Dr. Chalice?" They're like, "At the bar," and then she shows up there. It all makes sense because here this guy is. He's going through, or he is divorced. Ex-wife really really loathes him, and you could tell that he's not here for a long time, but he's here for a good time.
Yeah.
And once he meets, oh my gosh, once he meets Ellie,
Stacey Nelkin.
Ellie,
Yeah.
State. Another, oh boy. Okay, we're gonna talk. Is this what we're doing this episode? We're talking about 80s crushes because this could last all day.
She's not a fabulous actor, let's just say.
Not even remotely.
But she's very,
But I have
she's
such a
lovely, and I think she does a good job with what she's given.
100%. It also, I have,
This is all
because
you
of my
guys.
age, because of the time I grew up, Stacey Nelkin epitomizes like at that moment in time in 82, it was very much like a jazzercise aesthetic, you know, and like striped headband, unitard kind of thing. I'm canceling myself as the words come out of my mouth. I'm gonna go see HR immediately. I can feel it. But it was happening in that time, and Stacey Nelkin really epitomizes all of that in one person. Not a great actor, but
No.
for what she had to do in the movie, she did it pretty well.
Yeah. You can't ask for much more. She's playing second banana to Tom Atkins. That's already a lot to ask of anybody, because he's and not just like the whole like genre stuff, but he's a really good actor. Like he does track as a solid actor. So like she's got to hold her own against him. I don't think she'd done a lot beforehand. I know I hate like when people talk about like casting movies and they cast every single character with like a megastar, because like nobody takes into consideration like how much dough you actually have to spread around,
Yeah.
so like they got the best person that they could, and she was fine. And I don't know what she's done after. I've literally only seen her in Halloween 3, and I've seen her do interviews and stuff, and she like acknowledges the fact that she's not that great in the movie, but like good for you, queen. Like rock on, mama, because you're in a majorly important franchise entry. So like good for you. That's more than a lot of people get to do.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Absolutely. It makes sense because of Tom Atkins being Tom Atkins. I mean, she walks into the bar, asks about her dad, and he's just like, I've got nothing going on this weekend except a lot of
No
doctoring and
family,
possibly-"
no kids.
Yeah.
None of that. No job. No, I'm not a doctor. None of that.
Quick stop to the payphone. By the way, I won't be there. Click.
And he's got a 6-pack on him at that moment. And it's like, nice, man.
She's screaming into the phone. Your kids don't even remember what you look like. He's just like, all right, I gotta go.
Oh my god, awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was 82. All right, it
He
was
ag-
82.
He acknowledged that
It was
too. He's
time to
like, why
abandon.
did they write my character that way?
It's a different time.
He just went with it. He was like, okay, this is the script.
Yeah, at the end of the phone call, I think he actually says, "Just rub some dirt on it," to all his patients. Put some mercurochrome, rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine.
He's also got something. He's also got something going on with the medical examiner woman. Also, like,
I
or
think
maybe
so.
everybody.
yeah, any
Robert,
He's
or
very,
possibly
he's very
everybody.
touchy.
yeah, any woman with
Yeah.
a pulse is a potential target for Dr. Chalice, who he would be canceled now, but back in the 80s, different story.
Chief of surgery.
Different
Right.
time.
Exactly.
They would name the hospital after him.
Yeah.
So what I do love about Halloween 3 is that, and Shannon's heard me, moan and groan about this a million times, is the economy of the film and the pacing. We've got a tight hour, hour and a half. We got 90 minutes. It picks up with a banger. And I love a film that starts where you're immediately like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know why this man's running. I don't know who the hell these guys, these stiff guys are in these gray suits. But it hooks you in, and we have to talk about the damn score. The John Carpenter score with Alan
Howarth.
Howard. Oh shoot, sorry. That how they took the bones of the score from Halloween, but it's all synthesizer now. Again, very 1982. and it works perfectly for this film, perfectly for it. But the soundtrack and the musical cues along with the kills, that sharp pew,
Yep.
it's just chef's kiss. I can't get enough of it. So, the movie moves pretty fast. I mean, we get to Santa Mira pretty quickly. And then my favorite part of this movie is Dan O'Herlihy. I just adore him, and he's just having a blast playing Connell Cochran. I mean, he in all of the snippets that you can find online about Dan O'Herlihy talking about the movie, he didn't think it was good. He's like, I don't. Was it good? No, in a very sweet Irish way. But he said, I had so much fun with it because I got to do my native Cork accent. And he's like, anytime I get to do that, oh please, it's a
Yeah.
great day. And he's so playful in this movie. He's so hideously playful and sinister and charming and adorable. But that one scene that he has, though, when and you guys know the scene I'm talking about, when Dr. Chalice is tied up and he's got the skull mask on and they're going to give him the buddy treatment. But then when Connell Cochran actually unpacks the history of Samhain, it
Mhm.
turns into a different movie. It turns into a completely different movie. I mean, all of a sudden, we don't have a Tommy Lee Wallace. We don't even have a Joe Dante. Like, we seriously have something on another level because he does this monologue, and it's just downright chilling how he just describes, and the blood and the hills ran red with the blood of children, and just his delivery, like the glee that he's feeling that he's going to be able to bring this back and just shove it down the throats of everybody now who's bastardized the tradition of Samhain and turned it into trick-or-treat Halloween. And it's probably only 4 minutes long, but for me that's the movie. I anticipate that scene, and it comes, and then I dine out on it until the credits. I just love it.
So, um, that's Nigel Neal territory, 100%. Like
Oh yeah,
that
for
feels the
sure.
most connected to something that Nigel Neal probably wrote that maybe Tommy Lee Wallace punched up a little bit, but like, or at the
Yeah.
very least, Carpenter punched up a little bit. But that is 1,000,000% something that Neal would have written. And also, that's the scene I referenced at the beginning that Scream would later on do, in that it uses, um, I forget the term, dia something music from a TV show or movie to punctuate the tension going on in the actual film. Just like how Scream used Halloween's original music, Halloween 3 uses Halloween's original music in that scene. The part where he says Happy Halloween, and then all of a sudden it goes into the do,
Yeah.
do, do, do from Halloween. They did it first.
It's just so good. I mean, I understand that people could pick this movie apart for a litany of reasons, but it does have its moments. It does have its incredible
It's
moments.
chilling.
And
It's chilling. The whole movie is the fact that like he doesn't want to take over the world. Connell Cochran doesn't want to take over the world. He just wants to play one last good Halloween trick on the entire world and kill a shitload of kids in that moment.
Yeah.
kill a
I have a
shitload of
question for
kids.
both of you in a second, but I want to say what's really particularly creepy about Connell Cochran in this moment. We've got the satanic panic going on in the tail end of the 70s and all throughout the 80s, right?
Yeah.
The idea that like
Yeah.
your kids are not safe, your kids are not safe, your kids are not safe, like beat into our heads. Well, I wasn't even alive yet, but beat into people's heads all throughout the early 80s and all throughout the 80s in general. This movie really banks on that, and it's so well done. Like the idea that like no, it's not Satanism, it's just old-timey belief that's going to get everybody in the end, and it's this thing that you let your kids celebrate. It's awesome. Go out, get some
And
candy, buy our masks, and then die. But
it
I want to ask
Together.
everybody together. I want
yeah.
to ask you both, of the three masks, the witch, the skull, or the pumpkin, which ones would you pick? And whoever wants to start.
Um, I I think I have a fascination with pumpkin, so I probably would go with that one. Yeah.
I love the witch because I love the cowl.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a close second for me.
And it's
But
on the poster as well in silver, and it's scary as hell.
it
hmm
is scary as
hmm
hell. Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
I would go with the pumpkin. I really love the pumpkin, but the witch one is my second pick.
And then, okay, I do want to mention Don Post of Don Post Masks of like every Halloween costume I had as a kid was some kind of Don Post. I mean, I didn't have money for the good ones. The one with the goddamn elastic band that broke after 6 seconds, and then you're trick or treating holding it up, and you're like, oh, is it even worth it? It is. Free candy is always worth it.
Always was.
But Robert, I just want to add on to your point about the satanic panic aspect. What's so delightful and delicious about this movie too is that it's not those kids playing their heavy metal music or their with their long hair and their denim jackets. It's the sweet trick or treat man.
Yep.
Who nobody would suspect in a million years. Oh, I love that.
Nope.
I love it so much.
It's
Nope.
very sinister.
Oh yeah, and we don't. I mean, we get a lot of villains like Connell Cochran now in different things, but we didn't really back then. And it's kind of cool because he does The Last Starfighter, and that's awesome. And then he does RoboCop, where he's actually a good guy. Like, yeah, he's an evil corporate OCP guy, but at the end of the day, he makes the right call, and he kind of becomes chums with RoboCop, which is pretty dope. So he got 3 great movies in the 80s. I don't think he lived. I don't think he made it to the 90s. I think he passed away, but I could be
I
wrong.
don't think he did either. Yeah, I don't believe he did. But I found out he was nominated for an Academy Award for The Adventures of Robinson Crusoe in 1954. I'm like, good on you, Mr. O'Hurley.
That's awesome.
But I do, yeah. I think he elevates the movie. His acting, it just elevates the movie and helps to bring it to another level for his scenes. But he does have that delightful playfulness. And then when with the question mark demise of Connell Cochran, who knows? When he just goes kind of like into the ether, but he looks up at Dr. Chalice and he gives him the come on. Come
Awesome.
on.
I just looked it up, and it says that he passed away in 2005.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't really do. It doesn't look like he did much after RoboCop though. So maybe he just retired.
Okay.
Never count out the Irish for exceeding life expectancy.
Yeah.
I ripped off
I just-
his clapping thing in a story that I wrote that's in my new collection. And I have a character who knows that she's a villain. She knows she's not going to make it. And she turns to the kids who got like one up on her and she does the whole slow clap thing for them.
Love it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Connell Cochran
Are you
vibes.
kidding me? Oh, I can't wait for that. I cannot wait. So let's talk about. We have the movie is released. It gets panned. I mean, oddly enough, Vincent Canby liked it. He kind of saw what they were going for, which
But he was the only one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's even though John Carpenter didn't direct it, it's the John Carpenter curse of like, this movie shit, we hate it. I don't even know why they let him in the building. And then 2 to 3 decades later, they're like, it's a great movie. The Thing, Halloween 3, and then just go down the list of all of John Carpenter, most of John Carpenter stuff. Still looking at you, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. You can fuck right off. But he gets Robert, by now, if you've listened to past episodes, I do nothing if not isolate people and upset people on podcasts.
He's trying to get a lawsuit.
That's what you need to take you to the next level, is a good lawsuit from Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
That's what we all hope for.
But it's just the poor John Carpenter could not catch a break. He just could not catch a break. So this movie comes out. I believe it had a $4.5 million budget. Domestically, it made 14.5. So that is considered a hit. It tripled its budget, but the reviews were just scathing. And then Universal sells the rights to, John Carpenter sells the rights to Michael Myers at that point, and it doesn't become his property any longer. And then we get 4. Which, by the way, Robert, I don't know if you realize this, but you painted yourself into a corner, and you will be back to discuss Halloween 4 at a later date.
Yeah, fine by me. I'll talk all the Halloween movies. I love all of them. I even have in recent years become fond and look at with love Halloween 5 because I feel like
Alright.
Dominique Othon
I've
and
always loved
Gerard.
Halloween 5.
What's that?
I've always loved Halloween 5.
Yeah.
It could be just because I loved Danielle Harris so much.
Mm,
Sure.
Like I feel like I don't know, me and her like are the same age, so I always loved her.
Yeah.
Even when she was in Roseanne, when she was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Uh, there's like one or two more that I'm forgetting at the moment, but
Sure.
I've always loved her,
Yeah.
and she was always really sweet when I met her like once or twice.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never met her. I love going to conventions and stuff. I haven't been in a really long time, but like she's crazy talented. But yeah, like I could,
Mhm.
I love the Thorn trilogy, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that, 4, 5, and 6. But I love Dominique Othon and Gerard just because he really did seem to give a shit about Halloween 5 as preposterous as he made that movie. Like he does seem to legitimately care. So like I kind of appreciate him for that, and I appreciate him being like this weird Swiss maniac who just came to America to make a Halloween
Yeah.
movie. Like that's pretty funny to me. But I think 82 was a bad year for Carpenter between this and The Thing, both not
yeah.
doing well critically. So I wonder, has he
Which
ever
is insane to
specifically
me.
spoken about how he felt in 1982 after seeing two great movies? Well, hang on. One incredible movie and one great movie not do
Mhm.
well at that time.
He definitely has said that he crawled into a case of Budweiser for quite some time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it had an impact on him for sure. And these are John's words, not mine.
Yeah.
He's come forward and said, "Boy, oh boy, I really did. I just hit the Budweiser real hard after that because it's so soul crushing." You know,
I like seeing movies that, maybe didn't do well when they first came out get the love and recognition that they deserve like years later. Like I'm still waiting for it to happen with two movies in particular. And I think like when it finally does happen, I'm gonna sit back and be like, I've liked these movies since they came out, motherfucker. So and I'll have my moment in the
wait,
sun. But
What are those?
David Twohy's
yo,
Below, which is about a haunted World War II submarine.
Okay.
That movie is ridiculously good and doesn't
is
get
it
talked
really?
about enough and has a rare dramatic performance by Zach Galifianakis. Um, and then there's also Rain of Fire with Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey.
Mm.
What the? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, we may have to do a 3-hour podcast.
So you're
we're
coming
we're
back
going to talk about
two
this.
more times on the podcast,
Fine
is
by
Robert?
me.
Is that what you're
Let's do it in
saying?
person.
Wait, three more with
Yeah, like we're gonna do
Jaws.
it. Yeah, no, we're
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it in person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're an in-person podcast host from now into forever.
You're not doing anything, right?
I almost said now until infinity.
We're gonna kidnap
I mean,
Robert.
first off, I'm like, okay, we're having Robert back for Halloween 4, 5, and 6. We're gonna call that the Thorn trilogy. We're gonna do that. Rain of Fire is a complete banger,
Yeah.
and Below is incredible. No, these are you definitely have uncovered two hidden gems there, and you're right. Hopefully, the test of time, they'll get the respect they deserve. But it's weird. Just a couple of months ago, I just stumbled across Rain of Fire again. Just sat down and watched the hell out of it. Below might be a little bit of a trickier find. I mean, I'm sure it's on a streamer, but God, oh boy, I do love those movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
They're both
you're going to
incredible.
be. I mean, are we going to have to put you in the credits? You're going to be on this podcast a lot.
I'm into it. I'll talk about whatever you want. So
I love it. I love it. So, Robert, we're going to wrap up Halloween 3. I think we did it justice. It's a solid movie in the Halloween franchise. It's different because it's the anthology take. Except for a 0.7 second glimpse of Michael Myers. It's without Michael. It stands on its own. It has become a cult movie in its own right. What I love about it, when people talk about the Halloween franchise, they don't talk about Halloween 3. It is really a standalone movie. It's like
Hmm.
carved out of the franchise and stands on its own, which I think is a great accomplishment. But we're going to transition now into our three questions. Two are very straightforward. Three has become contentious, and we'll tell you why. What after it's done, it's not a bad question, but we've gotten varied responses on it. So, Shannon, do you want to do the first one? You want me to take the first one?
I don't
Yeah, I'll
have
do
them
the
written
first
down
one. We can never
anywhere.
remember
I
the order,
always
but
forget what they are.
the first one is: could you tell us about your most terrifying experience? Doesn't necessarily have to be a movie. Can absolutely be a movie. But if found yourself in a haunted hotel room or whatever the case may be, what's the scariest you ever were?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, the scaredest you ever were.
Yeah. Um, I think the most scared I've ever been um in my life, I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened. And
Okay.
I didn't know like what was going to happen after. I thought we were going to get drafted, and I remember being really scared at that time. And I remember being really worried. And then I remember seeing, cuz and this was like, you see it now, you see what they were doing now, but like Black Hawk Down came out not long after 9/11. And I remember seeing that with my friends and being like, we're going to enlist and we're going to go. And it was like, what the fuck were we thinking? Like, just saw this movie about these guys getting stuck behind enemy lines and almost getting murdered. And we're like, yeah, let's go to the desert and fight in a war that we have nothing to do with. Like,
Right.
that
Yeah.
was probably the scariest I've ever been, was like the immediate months post 9/11, my senior year of high school.
That's fair.
Oh my gosh! I had the exact same experience sitting in a bar with my friends during the Iraq War and thinking the same exact thing. Yeah, we should go over there. And I look back now and I'm like, you would have died on the bus to basic training. What the fuck are you?
Yep.
But you're young and you're not. I'm not gonna say we're dumb, but we're not fully formed.
Yeah.
And you just make these rash decisions. But yeah, so
I remember
um,
I remember talking to a Vietnam that I love cigar lounges because you meet such a really cool, diverse
oh, I know you do.
group of people. We should get a cigar one day. But like I was talking to this one Vietnam vet. He was just this very chill older dude, and he enlisted. He wasn't drafted. And I remember I asked him, I was like, "Why did you enlist?" And it was like a year into the war, and it was like really, really, really bad. And he was like, "There was a war going on. I wasn't going to miss it."
Hmm.
5 minutes, yeah.
It's a special kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Boy. Woo.
that's
Well,
a
I guess
real story.
he got what he wanted.
A real thing a guy said to me.
Good gracious. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, boy. Yeah, I mean that one definitely yeah, that one left a mark. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god. Oh, okay. Well, like, this is going to be this transition's going to be so abrupt it's going to give people whiplash. But our second question,
Is that the trash one?
which one?
Is that like the trash movie?
Yes.
Okay. So the second question is, what is a trash movie that you love, that everybody hates, but you'll defend it to the death?
Oh, that's a fun question.
Yeah, there's probably so many.
I'm gonna say, the tide is, coming around. I guess a little bit, but I'm gonna say Halloween Ends. I'll die on that hill. That's the best one
Okay.
since the
All
original.
right.
Okay.
Great answer.
It's everything I was hoping for in a Halloween sequel. It's everything I've been hoping for my entire life in a Halloween sequel, and they gave it to me. It was
Perfect.
like they wrote that movie for me. And I hated
I'm sure
Halloween
they did.
Kills, so I had no expectations going into Ends. Um, and Halloween 2018 was the last one my dad got to see before he passed away, and I just wanted the last of that trilogy to be good, and boy howdy was it. So yeah, I'll say Halloween Ends. I have the IMAX exclusive Halloween Ends poster framed on my wall. Um,
Ooh, that's
I adore that movie so much. I've probably seen it like 30 something times since it's come out.
Oh my god.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that's a perfect answer to the question. And then
Hmm.
our last one is, if you could remake any movie, what movie would that be? And you could go as far as to say, oh, who would you like to direct it or act in it? You don't have to, but if something comes to mind, but what movie would you like to see be remade today?
I did a podcast talking about my all-time favorite movie, Forbidden Planet, and I've been thinking a lot
Oh,
about.
I listened to it, and it was a banger, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I will say I think Forbidden Planet still. Like I would like to take point on writing a 4 to 6 part miniseries of Forbidden Planet, remaking Forbidden Planet with the right directors at the helm. I think there's certainly people who I think would do a better job than others at taking it. I think the whole team who made The Outsider, they might be the team to do what I have in my mind for Forbidden Planet, or like the team behind Mayor of Easttown. Um, but
Yeah,
that's what I would like to remake is Forbidden Planet. That would be my dream. Um, yeah, I think that's the thing for me.
perfect.
I love it.
The only reason I say the third question is a little contentious is because we've gotten answers of, why would you remake anything? Everything is perfect in its original form, which we completely respect. So if we get that answer as well, we're like, okay, moving on. So now is the part of the podcast where it is your podcast.
Oh,
Please tell us about anything and everything that you would like to. What do you have coming up? What's on the horizon? What can we get excited about?
I have, for people local in the, the Long Islandish area, I do true crime lectures a couple times a month. You can come to those. I do them at different libraries and colleges and stuff like that. Usually it's, libraries mostly. And like I have one coming up. I'm doing the Gypsy Rose case.
Ah,
Yeah. So that one's kind of cool. I wasn't super interested in it because I didn't care. And then I watched a documentary with my wife about it, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy! That
it's a
story is cuckoo
batshit
bananas."
story.
Yeah,
Like complete batshit.
it's so insane.
Is this the one that's tomorrow night?
Yeah, that's tomorrow night at
Where is it?
the Huntington Library.
All right, Huntington, New York, because we have a lot of listeners in the immediate area. Huntington, New York. What time?
7. Yeah, starts at 7.
So
7
maybe
p.m.
get there at
Huntington
6:30.
Library. Come and watch Robert talk about a crazy story.
Yeah, that's always a fun time. But yeah, I've done a bunch of different ones, and it's always a creepy time getting to talk about Japan's Kobe cannibal. That's the only one that's ever grossed anybody out. So that's
Mm.
cool. But I have a couple things out. I'll hold them up. This is my newest thing. This is The Transgression. This is a cute little chapbook. It's a little thin sweetheart angel.
Ooh,
Um, it is like 30 pages of Western weirdness and spookery and just a lot of fun. And it's cheap. It's less
love
than
the
a cup of
cover.
coffee. It's like $6 on Amazon or whatever. Then I have.
I love that cover.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's by Alexis Macaluso, who did the cover for the Vile Thing We Created, actually.
Ah,
Same artist.
Oh,
She's a genius. I love her. She's so remarkably talented. And I have this for younger readers, the Sleepy Hollow Gang. Very, very
so
proud of
cool.
that. Love this book. I love these kids. They are ridiculous and silly and fun, and I just had a really fun time writing them. I'm going to plug 2 more.
please plug away.
The Curse of the Cobman is my supernatural giallo. This book is nuts. This is like if you want a blood, if you
What
want
we want.
blood getting spilled, Curse of the Cobman is for you. Um, Good lord, that book is insane. And then, Sean, you were so kind enough to mention we are coming to the 1 year anniversary of this little baby coming into the world, the vile thing we
That covers
created.
so much.
Thank you, thank you. This book really meant a lot to me to write. It took like 2 years, and it's a lot of fun. It's still got legs a year later after coming out, so like I'm still really happy with it. But that's what I have out. I don't have oh, if I may, I have
Please.
At the Barnes & Noble in Bayshore.
Mhm.
Towards the end of April, I think it's April 27th. Let me just check really quick. Yeah, Saturday, April 27th, I will be in conversation with JT Blatty about her new book, Snapshot Sent Home. She is a military veteran who covered the war in Ukraine as it was popping off. And this book is incredible. It's all about her time as a war photographer covering the Ukraine, and all the amazing people she met while covering that. So we would love to see a nice crowd for that, because her book is very important and really should be read widely.
Robert, you said April 27th for that one?
Yeah, Saturday, April 27th. Yep. And
Please, for all,
what's that?
I was just going to say, for all of your stuff, use us as a megaphone. Just, hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I've got this. And we will absolutely post it on all our socials. And, we'll just, please,
Cool.
it's the least we can do. We're huge fans of you, and we'll just try and get in front of as many people as possible.
Thank you.
For
I
sure.
appreciate it.
We'll help get the word out.
Woot.
You bet.
Thank you. I really hope people come out for that one, because JT's book really is something special. So that would be nice to see a big crowd.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah. But that's everything in the immediate
right.
future. I'm going to be a necromantic again in May, taking part in like a storytelling event.
I'll be there.
Sweet.
Yeah, that sounds great. The
Sweet.
people there are
Maybe
fantastic.
I can make it this time.
It's a cool place. It's a cool spot. I'm into it.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool room. And the beer is great too. And the people that work there, Matt behind the bar and Ralph the owner, they're just great people.
Yeah,
Just really, really nice.
I enjoy it.
So
But,
that's it. Look, saying goodbye is such sweet sorrow. I could talk to you all day.
well, thank you. When we get together and have drinks on the beach and talk about our shark, farewell and adieu to ye fair Spanish ladies.
I have got horrible news for you, Robert.
Mhm.
We're not waiting until the middle of July to get together. We're going to get together way quicker than that. We easily brought up 6 films that we can talk about almost immediately. So we'll give the listeners a couple of weeks break, but I'm definitely going to hit you up and we'll schedule something.
Yeah.
And we'll do that in-person podcast in April, or probably I think April would be great. April, beginning of May, and let's just do it.
Sounds good to me.
And you know what? We're gonna do dealer's choice. We mentioned so many films today, but you're gonna be the one who's gonna pick what you'd like to talk about.
I'm into it. Sounds good.
Yeah, let us know.
I mean, if that Clay McLeod Chapman can talk about Bad Ronald, for fuck's sake, we got to let you talk about anything you'd like to.
Oh my God, Clay is awesome. I love him. He's so ridiculous.
Yes.
The best thing is that when we actually started the episode, Clay was like, "Did I bring up Bad Ronald? Did you bring up Bad Ronald?" Neither one of us will cop to it who actually brought it up.
Was
We're like, I don't
him.
think it was you. No,
It was
I'm pretty
him.
sure it was you.
It was Clay. That's Clay all day long and twice on Sundays. Come on.
And we love it.
I love it. Well, that's it for our podcast, Cinners. Thank you so much for joining us. This was beyond fun. This was just so enjoyable. Look, Halloween 3, it is what it is. It's a great cult classic, but this is the kind of podcast that we love to do because we talked about so much other than the movie, and that's what makes for a fun time, at least for us. I hope everybody agrees. So, Robert, we can't wait to have you back. And Shannon, take us out of here.
And that's a cut.
So long, everybody.
Bye.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.